Okay. Do some checking. Make sure. Get that. And I want to make sure you're going to be able to see. That's the reason why. Okay, let's mute myself first. Let's do that first. Okay, mute that. Okay, so the reason I'm doing this live, which I was trying to figure out how to do it live without anybody being able to see it until I'm done, but I didn't see that. Maybe I went too fast in setting it up, but oh well. I'm really doing this because when I tried to record it, first of all, it's long, right? It's going to be long. I may break it into different pieces, like where I'll do the front because I almost have that done, and then I'm going to do the back piece, which is where I get more into it, and then maybe I'll do another part where I actually go in, cut the fabric, and then sew it together. Okay, it just depends on how I feel. So this is a beginner, and I'm talking about beginner, like brand new. You have never done this before, but you want to learn how to draft the pattern. Okay, that's what this is. I am new to doing this myself, which makes it, hopefully I explain it to you in detail the way I would, the way for me to understand it, I want to explain it to you so you could understand it. So why am I doing this? Because there are many videos here on YouTube. Yes, there are. The problem with those videos is I had to watch over 30 videos, and I'm not even exaggerating. I watch all types of videos looking for help to do this. And there was multiple issues that I came across. It might be a video where the person isn't explaining anything at all. They just putting some numbers down, drawing some lines, and cutting it, and then making the items, right? So of course you're not going to learn from that, which I didn't, right? It started becoming frustrated because I ran into a lot of those videos. And then there are the videos where they kind of explaining, but just their numbers. Like for instance, their body measurements, which kind of could be confusing as well, right? Because they didn't explain how they ended up with the numbers that they have. And then there were those who couldn't understand their English. Not that I speak perfect English, but I think for the most part, people can understand me if you speak English, okay? And so I ran into that as well. And so and then the most important one that I was running into is where it was for basic bodies. What is a basic body? I'm talking about just a slender body, okay? This is for a curvy person. And of course, I'm being am I muted? Oh, I might be muted. That might be why somebody calling me. Hello? Hello?
Mimi.
Oh.
To accept, press 1.
Hello? Hello?
Hey, I'm sorry to bother you.
Uh-huh.
Sorry for having you last night, too.
Wait a minute.
I know you... Huh?
I'm sorry about that, everybody. Thank God, thank God. Okay. I don't think people knew I was live. I was like, I'm live, right? She was like, oh no, I didn't know. I was like, yeah, I'm on another channel. Anyway, listen, everybody. So this is, I put it on this channel because I know everybody is not into sewing. And the reason I didn't do this, record it and then edit it, because first of all, it's gonna be too long. Secondly, my phone and iPad won't keep telling me about space because this will be long, right? Anyway, let me check and see if I can change. Okay, so I want to make it to where you could see the table, right? And just want to make sure you can see the table. Okay. Because there will be some mat done, and it's gonna be easy mat. It's really simple. But back to where I was, the reason why I couldn't find, I am a curvy woman, right? My grandmother taught me when I was young. I didn't know what it was. I just knew she would grab a piece of fabric like this, right? She would grab a piece of fabric, and she taught me how to make dresses and skirts, even shorts. I don't think I ever made pants when I was young. I didn't, not, right? She would take a piece of fabric, and she would get a ruler, right? And she would be marking. She would tell me what markings to put. Boom, boom, right? And then I would cut it out, right? And then when I opened it up, I would sew it together, and bam, I had skirts, shorts, tops. This is how my grandmother taught me, but I never knew that it was a pattern. Like she never used the word pattern or drafting patterns, right? That's never what I ever heard. And then I learned how to sew first by hand with my mother, then by machine with my grandmother. And then when I'm into middle school, I had home ec with it. There was a half a year where you sewed, right? There was half a year where you cooked, and they taught you cleaning and taking care of children and all that shit. Oops, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say the S word, but anyway, I'm gonna try not to cuss, but I do cuss. Okay, so if you offended by cussing, I don't know what to tell you. Wrong channel. Anyway, um, so my grandmother taught me just basic putting the numbers on the fabric and then cutting it out. Now I was a kid. Right? My grandmother sewing machine wasn't even electrical, right? You didn't plug it into a wall. It was one that you pressed on a pedal, but the pedal actually made the machine spin, right? Like the belt spin. So really, while you were sewing, you literally was like almost riding a bike type of thing. You wasn't really doing it like this though with your feet. You were just going up and down, up and down. As you pump up and down, the machine ran. That's how old fashioned that machine was. By the time I entered middle school though, now there's this machine where you just press the foot pedal and zoom and it sews, right? But even then, I didn't remember until recently when I was doing this that the teacher, I guess there was a pattern. I ended up sewing an apron, right? And I don't remember much about it. I just knew that we ended up sewing an apron, maybe a couple other things. I don't know. I can't remember. Okay. I don't even remember using a pattern. So let's fast forward to when I get married, I buy a machine, and I made some things that my grandmother taught me how to make, like sheets, curtains, comforters, baby items. And I didn't have to get a pattern for that, right? So then I became a mother and I put my sewing machine away. Got real busy, no sewing. Maybe about, I don't know, 5 years ago, I decided to get my machine and start sewing again. And I'm telling you this to explain why I kind of know a little bit about drafting, but not. But not only did I not know about drafting, when I got my machine back out, I didn't even know how to use a pattern, which is called, this is an example of a pattern. This is a pattern. This is a pattern. I didn't even, like, when I went and bought, I said, okay, I want to make some kid stuff, right? And I was like, well, what the hell do I do with this? Right? So I opened it up and I did some reading. Of course, it comes with little booklets. And then this is what patterns look like. Pattern pieces, should I say, right? A pattern piece would be a piece like this. This piece here, it tells you what it is. It's the front of E and F, which E and F is the pants. So this is the front piece of E and F. And it tells you to cut 2 of them, right? And that's how this works. So I didn't know how to even use a pattern. So I went to YouTube, where I am now on YouTube, right? And I decided to look at some videos on how to use patterns, right? So I can sew things and all of that, but I didn't even know nothing about patterns, right? That's because back in the day, there was none of this. These things didn't exist, okay? So this is something new in the last, I don't know, 30 years, maybe a little longer, probably a lot longer, but for me and where I come from, right? From people who knew how to sew, they didn't need no patterns. Okay, so they could have been existing for 100 years, 200 years. It didn't matter, because in my family and anybody in our community, we know nothing about this. Nobody was buying no pattern. Okay, so now, why am I telling y'all this story? Because number one, I ramble a lot. And number two, I'm kind of giving you a little history, right? So it's not abnormal if you come across somebody who's been sewing all their life, but they don't know much about patterns. It wouldn't be abnormal. You might even find, which I'm finding, even the African women who I looked at their videos to actually learn this shit, right? I'm sorry about that word. To learn this stuff. And they probably don't even know much about patterns except drafting their own. So I want to learn how to draft my own, like, boom. Now, my grandmother taught me how to do skirts, the basic skirt. And this is why it's going to be long, y'all, because I'm going to explain this in detail. Okay? I'm going to explain this in detail. Looking for a piece of paper. Something. Okay. Something I wrote on already. This is my important book right here. Okay. Anyway, so you could take depending on what type of skirt you want to make, you literally can just cut a square. Right? You could cut a square and you break that square in half. You have the front and you have the back. I'm gonna change the views on this, y'all. Give me a second. I'm actually gonna grab this. Hold up. Y'all give me a second. I'm gonna get my tripod. Now the thing is, I was gonna use the tripod the whole time, but Zoom has an issue with keeping up with the connecting my iPad. So I'm gonna use both back and forth. Okay. You'll know what I mean when I get into it. Let me see here. I gotta go to Zoom. And then I'm gonna share screen again. But this time I want to share from my iPad or my iPhone. I'm using my iPad. But I'm gonna do some writing, right? And this way, for those who really want to know how to do this, after you watch my video, you're going to know how to do this for real. But those who don't even know how to sew, you're going to know how to draft patterns. And let me tell you, there's big money in drafting patterns if that's something you decided you wanted to do to make money. Okay. Now, let me see. Back to my story, though. Even when well, let me do this first. Let me get this done first. Don't want that. Y'all can see it. Cool. Okay, cool. Now, so you can see better from the view. But the problem is with this is that it will slow where it won't be up to what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm gonna switch back and forth. You're gonna see me turn it off, turn it back on. So my grandmother basically taught me how to make my measurements, put it on, connect, and then cut. It's easy when I was a kid because I was a kid, right? I was in small sizes and kitty sizes, right? So you could really just take a square because you know there's a front and a back, right? And then you could absolutely, if I'm making a skirt with some elastic in the thing, I would just make the square bigger than my body, right? Just bigger than my body, definitely bigger than the biggest part of my body. So let's say when I was a kid, the biggest part of my body may have been actually the length, right? Because when you're a kid, you're small. But let's say I was bigger. I would make the skirt 1.5 larger than, not 1.5 larger, but 1.5 my largest part of my body, and cut a triangle or a square, depending on if you're making a short skirt or long skirt, right? And so that means I know I'm gonna be able to fit in it because my body is in there, and then I'm gonna make it half the length of that larger, right? So then you would take some elastic and put it in the waist, which would draw it in. And then bam, that's a skirt. That is truly a skirt. That could be a pattern to a skirt. So my grandmother taught me things like that, bam, and that's still efficient today. Today, that's basically all you do to make a skirt. Okay, that's basically all you do. Circular skirts, same thing, but you can make it even bigger because a circular skirt, you want it to hang off you, it goes all around you. You would make it probably 2.5 times bigger than you are, and then you would put in a waistband with some elastic. It draws in around your waist, fits you around your waist, and then it just falls from your body. That's simple. That's how simple it is, right? Except now I am an adult, right? I have a curvy body. So let me explain to you why this pattern is different than regular pencil skirts, because I am teaching you how to use it for a curvy body, right? So this is how basically they do calculations for a pencil skirt. You have the front of the body and you have the back of the body, right? That equals 2. They actually take you and split you in half equally, right? Equally in half. So let's say you have a waist of 32 and your hips is, no, let's do 26, 34. And then these are the large, when you're dealing with skirts and pants, basically the measurements you need is your hips and your waist. What is your waist? The waist is the widest part of your hip area, right? So if you have a big butt and things like that, you would go around the widest part, and that's where you would get this measurement from. And this is the waist, right? And you also want to measure the widest part, even that. And today, you need to make sure you can fit all of you in it, right? So you're gonna go with the widest part at the top, widest part in the hip area, okay? And then you make it as long as you want. So the basic skirt, if you go look on any channel, anywhere, they're gonna take this 26, you're gonna divide it into 2, which will be 1, 3, right? Yeah, 13 and 13 is 26. So you would put 13 inches to the front of the skirt and 13 inches to the back of the skirt at the waistline. And then you would do the same thing with the 34, 34, I'm sorry. You would do, and so that would be one, wait, let me see, 34 divided by 2 is 1, that's 2, 114, and that will be 6, no, 7. So it will be 17 inches to the front and 17 inches to the back. So what does that mean? That means on this skirt, where you divide it to 2, I'm going to make sure I have at the top, it was 13, right? I'm going to have 13 inches on this side, 13 inches on this side. And at the hip area, I'm going to have 17 inches on this side, 17 inches on that side, right? That is how you would make a skirt. A regular pencil skirt, and however length you want it to be. This is a pencil skirt, which means it fits you around your waist and goes straight to your body, right? That's what a pencil skirt is. In case you need a picture of it, just look up pencil skirt. You'll know what I mean. A flared out skirt would be flared out. And like I said, you just make a big square, double, sometimes triple or 2.5 your size. And then you put some elastic in the waist to make sure it fits around your waist. And bam, that's a skirt. Sew that shit together, hem it at the bottom. That is a skirt. That is simple. You can do that by hand. You don't have to have a sewing machine to sew clothing, by the way. You don't have to have a sewing machine to sew anything. You know, they didn't start, I think a sewing machine didn't come about until maybe the 19th century. Okay. So people, and there's been clothing for a very long time. So those people was making those clothing by hand. Okay. Anyway, so I hope y'all understand that's what this is. So first of all, let's talk about these numbers, the 30, the 26 and the 34. The 26 and the 34, right? These are your measurements around your actual body, around your actual body. You would take a measurer, which, what? Talking to my dad yet? No, can you call it for me? Just tell him I asked you. And tell him I'm making a video. That's why I didn't call him. Sorry about that, y'all. Okay, so you might not, what I would suggest, especially in today's age. So our bodies have changed over the decades, the centuries. Our bodies have changed largely, a lot. I'm talking about a lot. Okay, where you could go look at people back then, you will see people were thin, and not everybody was. And I'm talking about thin. I'm not talking about muscular, athletic. Oh God, hold on, y'all. Hello. You could. Oh, call the other one. Yeah. Okay, I'll call him. What you need it from? Okay, bye. Let me call my husband. Y'all give me a second. I forgot them people that still ain't called me back. He need use. I want it. What else I wanted? Yeah, where you at? Oh, I want to know, did you get my candy yet? Oh, and the baby needs some juice. So I'm not sure if you're gonna stop or not. Downstairs. By the kitchen, I'm at the cutting table. Why? Oh, and you sure it's still there? Oh, okay. I knew. Where is it? Oh, okay. Let me make sure he didn't get it. Because if he got it, then or he didn't, because he probably don't know it's there. Oh, okay. They still have food. Oh damn, Mark came down here and told us that Mark just take pieces of the pieces of the pieces. It was half just a minute ago now. It's like a little more than like it's a third of that. Okay. I don't see no drink. I don't see no. Oh, I see. That's it. Oh yeah, I do see. Well, I was just saying because it's on sale, but he takes the baby later. Maybe I can get him to stop. If he didn't feel like stopping, it's up to you. Okay, well, yeah. Okay, well, just let me know. Bye. Sorry about that. Okay, so look, this is this. You take the measurements around your waist. You want to get the biggest portion. Some of us are built right where you have bellies, and your belly, you got to make sure. Listen, do not go where people will tell you, "Hey, your waist belongs here." Wherever you bend over, and where you bend over, that is your natural waist. That is true, but the problem is we got people who might be they might be slender in that area where your navel is, but above that area, that's this thing called a muffin top. That's what we call it, right? A muffin top. Then they got people down here. It might be even larger down here under your belly button, which I got like that kangaroo pouch, right? So they used to tell you though that, hey, measure yourself from this natural waistline. And what I'm telling you is, if you measure yourself from that waistline and it happens to be, let's say, like a 38, but when you get down up in here in this area, that shit is like 42. Or if you get up here, that's like 42. Then you do not measure yourself from this 38. Do not make an item that's going to be 38 because some of this gets fitted in there and all of this get fitted in there. So if you make this 38, right? If you make this 38, but this goes further out, and I'm not even talking about your hips yet. We still talking about your torso, right? We still talking about, and we still talking about that area. And you make that size 38, well, guess what? It's going to be tight. And you might not be able to sit in it, and you're going to be uncomfortable. And not only that, though, the main part is it's going to look, it's not going to shape you out nicely. Some of you, some people like to buy their clothes bigger than they are, and some like to buy them tighter than they are. That's cool if you have a certain type of shape. But for those of us who are curvy, I'm telling you, fitted is your friend. Remember that. Fitted is your friend. The sooner y'all learn that, especially you younger ladies, you younger women, the sooner you learn that fitted is your friend, the better you'll feel about you and your clothing. Fitted is your friend. I didn't even know this. You know, it took me forever. Like I was buying clothes that was tight. You know, it fit me good because I had a nice shape. Okay, cool. I mean, I had a nice shape, so I could do what the hell I wanted to do. Have the babies, that changed, okay? So then after my children, I started buying clothes that were bigger. Bigger looked it sloppy on me. I like my clothes, and then I'm short on top of that. Bigger, looked like I was wearing a sack. We got a lot of women walking around here sloppy. Right? You could buy, you know, you don't have to, just because you want fitted clothes doesn't mean you have to make them. You can buy clothing off the rack and then you could fit them to you. You could, if you don't know how to do it yourself, you get somebody to do it for you. It won't cost much. It's not like me making a full garment. You bring something to me, say, hey, can you fit this to my body? I may charge you $20, right? To fit that to your body. But I promise you, it'll be fitted and it's going to look completely nice. It's going to look good. Fitted is your friend. And it doesn't matter if you're thin, fitted is your friend. And it don't matter if you're bigger. that's when definitely fitted is your friend. Because being fitted means it's gonna smooth you out. You're not gonna have a muffin top or a muffin bottom, right? Look, and it'll go around you curve nicely, and it just looks like a silhouette. Okay. Anyway, that's long enough on that. Looks like everything's still on time. Okay, now what I'm saying is go with the widest part of your top portion, anywhere from underneath your bottom. This is where you measure yourself. Okay, don't do what they got people talking about. Well, your natural waist, measure your natural waist, measure your natural waist. Now, you might need to know where your natural waist is so you can, because sometimes you have to measure down from your natural waist or up from your natural waist, right? You may need to know where your natural waist is and things like that. But I'm going to be honest, in today's society, that natural waist crap is gone. Only if you're real thin. If you're real thin, then your natural waist, yes, is still a point that you can measure from. Okay, because it does do something. There is a reason for measuring at your natural waist, especially if it gives you a silhouette, right? But the problem is, if you measure from your natural waist, but you're right underneath or top is bigger, then you won't fit in it. Okay, you won't fit in it. And the thing is, you can always take away, but you can't put back, right? That's why they call hemming. You hem something. When I hem clothing, I don't like to cut anything off. I would just actually just kind of go in, make a seam allowance, sew it up. And if you get bigger, then you'll be able to take a seam ripper and unpick where I did that seam and still be able to wear that garment. But today people are wasteful. Y'all throw away shit. As soon as it don't fit your, bam. You gain a little weight, bam. You know what I mean? You throw it away. Shit, stop throwing shit away. You could remake other things with the shit. You know what I mean? There's so much you could do with, man, y'all be throwing away some good shit. Anyway, so what I'm saying is look for the biggest part of our bodies. Everybody in today's society, because of all the shit that we're eating was wasteful, the high corn syrup, you know, that high fructose corn syrup and all this shit is destroying our bodies and things like that. Listen, go with the biggest part of your body. So what I would tell you is when you measure yourself, let's get back on cue. When you go to measure yourself, I just need a piece of paper. Okay. Ignore all this shit right here. Okay. When you go to measure yourself, there's many things to measure. And let me grab my notes, because I measured myself, right? So I'm gonna go into my notes where I measured myself to kind of, so I won't, okay, see, I have complete body measurements, Mom. Okay, so, but I'm just gonna focus today. Oh, what happened? I'm just gonna focus today on what is needed to make a skirt, okay? What is needed to make a skirt is you need your waist area, which would be your anything around your waist, belly area, all that, with the highest, the biggest, largest part, and measure yourself around. How do you measure yourself? Damn, I think both of my tape measures are upstairs, y'all. Let me look. I do have my, give me a second. On it, y'all. I have two sewing areas, and I usually pick some things in here where I can go up and down from. But then when I get real busy, I may not put those things back. I know I have many tape measures though. So I was hoping I had one. So I do. You go on. This is the type of tape measure. Oh, damn. What is this? Okay. Okay, you got caught up in some thread. Oh, no, it's not as bad as I thought. Okay. You could tell when my grandson, y'all, when he gets in my stuff, I'll be trying to keep him away from my stuff. See, it look a little wet, redness. I'm not sure what that is, but I'll take care of that another time. Anyway, this is a type of tape measure. It just needs to be this type, okay? And on this type of tape measure, first of all, if you get one for free, like this one was, don't trust it. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, them damn Chinese people sent me this shit for free with an order, and I'm gonna be honest with you. But nothing about this thing is right. Okay, but I'm just showing you the type. Just because they send you some free shit, do not mean you should grab it and start using it. Okay. As soon as I looked at this, I said this was wrong. Okay, let's see. Let me show you. Normally, a tape measure measures from the tip to, right, the tip. Like it literally goes from the tip, like this. When I go to measure something, I take it. Let's say I was measuring this. I would put the tip there, and I would measure. And where the 1 is would mean the 1 inch. But as soon as I look at this, I know it's bigger than an inch. And so that's what made me go to my tape measure, my a regular measure, right? So I go here and I put that 1 right on the 1. And look, so actually, it looks like what's an inch is actually from this part. Instead of measuring from this, they measure from there. Now, let me tell you, that is not a good tape measure. That's why they gave this shit to me for free. For mother, oops, I'm sorry, y'all. Sorry. Because when we take our measures, we actually really go, like for instance, why would that be a bad idea to have it here instead of here? Well, when we measure, we take, and let's say I wanted to make a measurement 1 inch from, I don't want to really waste paper, y'all, because this paper is what I'm going to be making. So let's say I had a line here and I wanted to measure 1 inch from there. What I would do is I would put the 1 on that line, and then I would go up here and just, let me show you. Let's go 1 inch from this line here. I will put the 1, and then I would go and just make a straight line like that. That's how I would do it. But that is obviously way bigger than an inch. God damn, that looked like 1.5 inches, to be honest. Let me see. That is 1.5 inches. And probably, well, yeah, that's way bigger than a goddamn inch, yo. So if they send you something for free, or if you ever get a tape measure, just go and measure your tape measure against something a little more reliable. This is a yardstick, okay? I put that 1 on that line, yeah, and that's exactly 1 inch from the bottom of this to that. Okay, so and I would have to remember that when I use this. So therefore, I do not use this, okay? But let me give you a little, what this might be good for is when you're taking your measurements around your body, okay? When you're taking measurements around your body, you can have that 1/2 inch. How much is that? I don't think that's a 1/2 inch. Let me see what that is. Yeah, that's what that is. That's about a 1/2 inch. That is a 1/2 inch. Okay, very, very close to a 1/2 inch. So if you recognize that it is a little bigger, know how much it is bigger then, and then when you go to measure yourself. So you take this and go around your body. If I had on clothes, I would show y'all, but I really just don't have on no clothing. Okay. Go around your body as such. Go around your back, the biggest part, make sure, and then wrap it around, and then wherever it stops, see, you could put it in the front like this, and that will be your measurement. Okay, right here, that would be 16 inches, which you know, that would probably be a baby. Okay, that's a baby. And for adults, it'll usually be somewhere between 24 inches, 20 and up. That's an adult waist. Okay, go around your whole waist. Then you go to your hip area and do the same thing. And it's okay if the numbers are large, because my number will be large. And now we're going to get to the real part of this video. Okay. I hope that explains how to measure yourself. You just take that type of tape measure and actually just grab it. If you could get somebody to do it for you, that's even better, right? But most of us don't have anybody to really measure us for us, okay? You could go to somebody and pay them to take your measurements if you need it to be more exact, but it don't have to be exact, okay? If you're making it yourself, it does not have to be exact. And if somebody's making it for you, they will take your measurements. Okay. Remember, I explained this to y'all about somebody wanting me to make a shirt for them, but they wouldn't let me take their measurements. They didn't want to come over. They didn't want me to come over. They just wanted me to make this great, big, large shirt. I could do that for men. I didn't have to take her husband's measurements when I made the shirt for him. And it came out perfect. But women, men are easy. We need to know men is easy for men. Okay. Men don't have curves. Okay. Men don't have deep backs with big butts and things like that. And even if they did, their shirts won't insinuate to go around those curves. Men clothing are like this, boxed. That's why you can't see if they got a big, nice butt or not, usually, right? That's why people are confused when they see men in dresses. And they'd be like, wow, I had no idea men were shaped like that. Men are shaped just like women, essentially, except in certain areas. Their hips aren't as wide as ours. Their shoulders are broader than ours. But they can have nice butts just like a woman. They can have nice legs just like a woman. We just don't know it because men don't wear skirts and shit like that. Okay? But some of us who sew and been sewing, we do pay attention to the body. And so when I say I can look at a man, a born man, and tell, I am telling you that I can tell. I think I made enough clothing for both sexes since they were babies all the way until older men to know that there are obvious differences. Okay. And I'm about to teach you some of those obvious differences through this course if y'all decide to take a course with me. Anyway, check it out. That's how you take your measurements. Now, what do you measure for a skirt? Y'all probably know the obvious. The obvious would be your waist and your hips, and then you need to know how long you want the skirt. And it doesn't matter how tall you are. It only matters how long do you want the skirt. Okay. If I wanted the skirt knee length, I would measure from your waist to your knees. And that would be the length that I would put for the skirt. And if you want the skirt down all the way to your ankles, then I would measure from your waist to your ankles. And that would be the measurement. You could have if you want a mini skirt, you want it just below a certain area, then I would measure from your waist down to that, and that would be how long the skirt is. That is simple. So it doesn't matter how tall you are, but what matters is how long you want your garment to be. Okay. I'm short, and so we're about to find that out now. We're about to find out how short I am. Wow. And I'm telling you, I'm really, really short. Okay. And I'm curvy. And that is why I have to make my own items. Right. So what do you need to measure for a skirt? You need the measurement of your waist. That would be the widest part around the waist that you want to be inside of your skirt. Okay. I've seen some people go all the way under their bust line for some items like a skirt. You ever seen the women where they have the shirts on and then the skirt goes all the way up under their bust line? It gives a nice shape, right? It looks good on tall women. For curvy women like myself, I don't know. I guess it could look good. I've seen some women with that high waist. Okay. But what I'm telling you is the widest part of your tummy area going down, take that measurement. Okay. That's the measurement we need. Then the next part will be your waist, your hips. Your hips is not called your butt, it's called your hips, because that's where your butt kind of starts, right? At your hip line. So you would measure your waist. You're going to measure your hips at the widest part. Okay. Don't listen to people. They used to be where you would bend. You would naturally, first there's a part where you would bend to get your natural waist. You would stand up straight, bend, and where it goes in at, that would be your natural waist. Then at your hip, they used to tell you where you would drop bending, and where that part goes in at would also be your hips. But what I'm telling you is that's not necessarily what we need. We need the widest part of your body. If you got a, like y'all, I'm built weird. If I went by how they used to measure, it would not fit me because I have no actual hips on the side. Like I'm built where I have no hips. I have no wide hips. I literally have no hips, and what you see is butt. You can see my butt from the front. And so if I took it at a particular area where I have no hip line, at my hip line, then I wouldn't be able to fit the rest of me in there. So what you do when you're curvy, ladies, then you take it from the widest part. Figure out the widest part of you and measure around that, because you need to get it in this skirt. Okay? Cool. You got that? You want the length that you want, right? How long do you want it? Of course, that's a measurement you need. Okay. But then there's another measurement that I need people to take, women. I need you to know it's called nip to nip. The nip to nip measurement. And what is a nip to nip measurement? Nip to nip measurement is you measure it from one nipple to the other. What is that space between your right nipple to your left nipple? I know you probably never heard of that, right? That's called nip to nip. And what does that mean? The nipple of a woman actually helps to divide your body. So your nipple is like a fourth of your body. Did you know that? So how do I say it? A person is shaped like this. Let's say this is your upper body. And then you have your nipples. And then you have the center of your breast is actually half of your body. Did y'all know that? So, right, if you measure straight between your breasts, huh? Yeah. Wait, you already got juice. Come down here and get it. It's down here. I'm about to. It's in the kitchen.
What thing?
Huh?
What?
In the kitchen. Go get your. It's already there. Your daddy bought your juice ahead of time. Look over there on that rack over there. You see it? It's smarter than going every day like you be trying to get people to do.
Doing what?
It's smarter than going every day.
I don't think people go every day.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's juice last time.
Yeah. Okay. So now, I need the measurements called nip to nip. And the reason that the nip to nip measurements is going to help me balance you out, right? And what I'm going to balance this skirt out with is something called darts. And the darts will be placed from right under the nipple and nipple. Okay, so that's called the nip to nip measurement. So you would measure, literally measure, put this thing, the measuring tape, or even a straight one. It doesn't matter what type, because it's a straight measurement, right? You're going to take it, you're going to put this on one nipple and go and put the other nipple. I think my nip measurement is something like 9 inches. So between my two nipples is actually 9 inches, y'all. Half of 9 is, if I'm correct, that's 8.5, right? I'm sorry, 4.5. I say 8.5. I'm sorry. Half of 9 is 4.5, right? So so if I go from my nipple, wait a minute. Wait a minute, is it right about that? Yeah, I was supposed to take that from my, wait, let me do that again. And when you measure your nipple to nipple, don't do it from when you have a bra on. Okay. I think 9 inches is too long, not right for me. I didn't put my bra on, y'all. Or did I? I didn't. I kind of guesstimated. I don't think 9 inches is right. That's way too wide for me. Okay. So don't go by I think my nip to nip, which is actually like 8 inches. And I'm guesstimating because I don't have a bra on now, okay? My nipple kind of do point some, everybody's nipple is done differently, but I don't know why I put 9. 9 is way too wide. Yeah, it's not 9. Actually more like 7. Let me check. I don't have on a bra. No. Oh, I forgot. I can't use this. Oh, okay. I'm over here wondering why in the hell this look weird. My nip to nip is not 9, y'all. I just put that out there. So my nip to nip is probably something like 7. Okay, I'm gonna make it 7. I'll go get put on the bra and take it officially. Okay, 9. When I looked at that measure and I was like 9, that's way. It may be 9. That measure is wrong. Remember, I kind of already explained why that's wrong. It might be wrong in way more issues than that too, because there is no goddamn way. I don't trust this thing. Okay. I could take it with this. Let me see. Boom. Actually, yeah, more like 9. Okay, so this is a true measure. 9 inches will be from here to the 9, right? And that's not as long. Now, when I used this blue thing, 9 inches was a lot. Oh Lord, let me see. Wow, y'all see that? 9 inches is way right here. And 9 inches on this thing is way at 12 inches. Look, y'all see the 9? And look where it's at, 12. So this thing is all the way off. Make sure you use the right measurement. God damn. So 9 and 9 is not bad. Yeah, I was about to say, when I put this up to me, I was like, God damn. My whole okay. I know I measured myself and I even though I did not have on a bra like I should have, I still kind of guesstimated. I raised them up, and 9 inches is my butt. My nip to nip is 9 inches. Jesus Christ. That would freak me out. I was about to say, why is this so off? Okay, so does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to everybody. I'm not looking at the chat, not even sure if people here, because you might not even be interested in what I'm doing. Cool. That's good. Anyway, so now this is for curvy women, y'all. If you are a regular, something like in your 20s in the waist, it don't, and curvy doesn't always mean big. Okay, but curvy does include big. Does that make sense what I'm saying? You could be curvy and not be what you would call overweight or BBW or big girl or You can be curvy and not be those things. So I'm gonna be clear about that. But curvy includes big women like myself. Okay. And what does curves mean? Like really, like curves. And let me explain to you what will be considered curvy for this pattern. If, like for instance, you could be let's say you are 28 in the waist, right? I think a 28 in the waist might be something like a medium, right? I don't know. I have to look at it with the right tape measure. But let's say you're 28 in the waist. Even if you're 26 in the waist, you could be a thin woman, right? In the waist. But then you get down to that hip area. And if your hip area is 10 or more, then what this is, then you are curvy. Give you an example. 28. Let's say you're 28 in the waist, and then you end up being a 38 in the hips. That is curvy. Okay. Let's say you're 26 in the waist and you're 36 in the hips. You are curvy. You went from being thin to a whole +10 in your hip area. Okay. Now, do it have to be 10 exactly? No. But if it's, I would put it at +6 and up. +6 and up. And let me explain to you why that is. The way a regular pencil skirt, if you go to any video or read anything, they take, and I've already explained this, they take your measurements and they split them in half. You have your front of your body and your back of your body, right? They then take it, and that's basically what they do. If you are 38 in the waist, and I'm sorry, a 28 in the waist, and then you're 38 in the hips, right? What they do in the waist area is cool, right? It's cool for the waist because you would divide that into two, which I think we said is 14. 14 is 28, yes. So I will put 14 inches on it in the front and 14 inches in the back at the waist area, right? Y'all see that? When I put 14 inches on the front piece and 14 inches in the back piece, that's cool. Now, when I go to 38 divided by 2 is 1 with the 18. That means that's 6, right? No, 7, 8 and 8, 16. Yeah, 18, right? 18. Yeah, 30. No. Is that 9? 9 and 9 is 8. Wait, y'all. I get thrown off. 7 and 7 is 14. 8 and 8 is 16. 9 and 9 is 18. Yeah. Okay, so 19 inches. So you put 19 inches on this side, 19 inches in that side. I hope that's right. Yeah. Is that right? It might be a half somewhere. That might be why I'm throwing it off. Let me see. 10. No, that's right. That's right. Okay, so 19 and 19 is 38, right? I'm not in the mood of math, but I think that's correct. If I'm off, cool. I hope I'm not. Okay, so 19 and 19, you put 19 inches in the back and 19 in the front, right? This is how you do, and I think I already explained it. This is how you do a basic pencil skirt. Basic, regular skirt. But guess what the problem is for those of us who curvy? I don't need no 19 goddamn inches in the front. I might need it in the back. I don't, and 19 inches is not going to be efficient in the back. So now let's take that 19. We put 19 inches in the front, 19 inches in the back. This is at my hip line, which is also AKA your butt area for those with big butts. But it doesn't even necessarily mean your butt area. Let me be clear. They got women who may be larger in the front than in the back. This way I'm gonna do this pattern is for those people too. Okay. But this pattern, when I do it, I'm going to do it to my body, which means I'm bigger in the back than the front. If you are a woman who are bigger in the front than you are in the back, in the hip area, then I could do another video showing you how to do that. Okay. But listen, if I take 19 inches in the front, 19 inches in the back, and make a skirt for my body, you know what happens? This the seam line, right? This the seam line, right? Half down the middle. This the front, this the back. And it's the seam that separates the front and the back. What happens is my back ends up being shorter than my front, right? You ever seen a woman like me where the back is short and the front is long? The front goes to my knees or better, and the goddamn back is all the way up to my butt, and I may not even know it, right? And if that happens, then you know this line here shifts. Instead of it being a seam line going straight up and down the seam, it actually is crooked like that. This ends up being a seam, which hikes up that because I didn't have enough space in the back where I needed it. The front, I got too much in the front, not enough in the back. And that's when it's lopsided and my back is shorter than my front. That's what happens to me in everything that I wear. Pants, when I wear pants, it doesn't shift from the bottom, right? Because there's a crotch. The crotch stops the hiking up of the, but what happens with me with pants, at the back, where it should be around my waist, it ends up being at the top of my butt. When I bend over, guess what you can see? My thong. Thong, 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 thong. No matter what, that big measurement that I need in the back is not there. It's not there. So this pattern, what I'm about to do, we're about to fix that. Does that make sense to everybody? If it doesn't matter how tall or short you are, if you need more fabric in the back than you have in the front, then you have issues with a basic pencil skirt pattern. Even if you buy your pattern, and let me give you an example of that too. Let me find a pattern. I have lots of them, but damn, I think we're back there, y'all. We'll go through that later. And basically what I was going to show you is that even when you buy patterns, they tell you to go with the biggest part of you. They're going to have it separated, and then you look at the measurements and you take your measurements, and then they tell you, oh, even though you might be a size 7, if your hips put you at a size 14, then guess what? You got to cut that size 14. And then you got to make adjustments in your waist area. Okay. I can't just make a size 14 because I wear a size 14. And then, you know what I mean? And my butt really fits in a 22. And that's when it's weird. It's weird. But I hope we are on the same page. I'm going to do that. I'm going to show you that one more again. The problem isn't in the waist. The problem comes when you need something different. So let's say, and my butt is, when I measure it for clothing, right? Let's put it we're going to put it at 54 inches, right? 54 inches is where we at. When I do 54 inches in the, divided by 2, that's 2, which equals 4, 1, 14. That's going to be 7. So that's 27 inches. Wow, y'all. I need 27 inches in the front and 27. I need 27 inches in the front and 27 inches in the back. That's for the basic skirt. Basic me not being curvy, me just being kind of, you know, I don't need no 27 inches in the front. And guess what? And 27 inches in the back isn't enough. So the pattern that I'm going to show y'all to do is going to shift this short back, long. We're going to take some of this from the front and we're going to put it to the back, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take some inches from here because that's what I need, right? I don't need this much in the front. I may only need 17 inches in the front. And I need 37 inches in the back. You see? I need 37 inches in the back and only 17 in the front. And that will then equal that out and make that hemline straight across. Take this crooked seam line and make it straight. And that's what this pattern is going to do. It's going to help you take some that you don't need here and we're going to put it there. But if you do a regular pencil skirt, I promise you what they do is, let me show you how they do that real quick. And I showed you, I kind of explained it already, but if I was doing this skirt, I would take my 40 inches. Let's say I had 40 inches in the waist. Okay. 54 inches in the hips. And then I wanted to make it, I think 23 inches long. That includes my seam allowance because I'm short. Okay. I'm short, y'all. Most of y'all need this just to get to your knees. And this is getting me to my feet. Okay. Anyway, so you usually would take this 40 and you will split that into 2, which is 20. 20 in the front, 20 in the back, right? 54. We already did that before, and we said 17, right? No, I'm sorry. We said 27. 27, 27, right? This is how you would do a normal skirt. You would take it like this, and because you're folding the fabric over, you then take that and even divide that. So it would be 10 inches, 10 inches times 2 is 20 inches, and then you would divide this into 2 also, which would be what? 14, 16, 16.5, I think, if I'm correct. What that would be 20, that would be 30, 32, 33. What I'm doing, 34, so that'd be 17, I think. Yeah, 17 even. And then anyway, I'm not doing the math exact, but I think that's right. I think that's right, but I might be wrong. Okay. Because this is not math. I think it is 17. I think it is 17 and 17. Anyway, and then you take that and divide it by 2 because your fabric folded over in the front and in the back. Okay. Remember, but because I need to borrow from the front to put in the back, that's what this is going to do, what I'm about to show you. Hope I make sense. I hope my math was right. If it wasn't, y'all gonna have to do the math yourself. It's easy though. It's simple. Take your body and you divide it into 2 sides, front and back, because your front will look different than your back. Okay. That's why you divide it into 2. But then on top of that, to make it easier for you to cut fabric, you then take that fabric and you fold that into 2. So even in the back pattern, it's going to be folded into 2 because you can do whatever you do to the front, you can do to both sides. I'm sorry, whatever you do to the front, going to be on both sides in the front, if the right side and the left side of the front. And whatever you do to the back, going to be done to both sides of the back, right? To the right side and the left side. You'll get it if that's confusing. I hope that's not confusing to you. If it is, it's because I'm probably explaining it wrong, but you will get it once we get here. Okay. Now, I you need some type of paper or something to cut to make your actual pattern. Some people take a fabric, like my grandmother showed me, put the fabric down, draw some lines, and then they just cut from there. Those are people who know what they're doing, and they trust that they're doing it correctly. Those people can do that. If you already know what you're doing, you could do that. If you don't, if you're following this video, then do not do that. Okay, I'm not even doing that yet. I'm not at the point yet where I feel confident doing that. Okay, but hopefully eventually I may get there. But I think there's I think eventually. The reason why you don't want to cut patterns pieces for everybody is because, like, what are you going to do with all these pattern pieces? Let's say you got 100 customers. They all have different body shapes and things. You would end up having 100 goddamn pattern pieces sitting around somewhere in your house. So I understand why you wouldn't cut a pattern piece. But if it's for you, cut a pattern piece. That way, your pattern piece, every time I go to make a skirt for myself, I can go in, grab that pattern piece like this. Let me show you. These are my pattern pieces for things that I make often. This is for a bag that I make, right? This is for a bag that I make. And because I make it often, I have a pattern piece. When I'm ready to make this bag, I put this pattern piece down on the fabric and I cut around it, bam, and that's it, right? For that bag that is a fanny pack. This is some of my pattern pieces for that fanny pack, right? Here's some pattern pieces for my pads when I make adult pads. Okay, and this is a pattern piece. This one piece is for my trash bag, core trash bag that I make. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, I have a lot of these types of things. Now, like I said, if you make them for clients, yeah, I would skip this part. You could do it directly on the fabric, cut it out, bam, 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 and boom. That's it. Okay. Now, if your client I offer my clients a pattern. Like, I'll make the pattern and then I'll cut the thing out, and then I sell them both the garment and the pattern. And the reason why I do that, because the people who I make clothes for, they like custom clothes. They like their clothes to fit them. They might not be able to get me to make their next item, but they might find somebody. They might have a daughter or a niece or somebody who's sew, and they can give them this pattern piece and say, hey, can you make me some of these? Or they might decide they want to try it themselves. And so I give them the pattern piece. Okay, but I do sell it to them. And it's not that much. And for those of you who might want to sew your own, but you want something that fits your body, I may offer that, where I send you the pattern. Okay, here we go. Anyway, here we go. I think that's a good thing. That would be a good business. So you need a piece of something that's large enough. And this is how I have some paper that is, I think this is something like, actually I can measure it. Let's measure it. Let's see. I have some special paper. This is like 11, what this is? It's 12 by, I think 12 by 18. This is like a 12 by 18, right? This is only long enough for a kid, because 12, if it's 12, your waist can't be no longer wider than 24. Okay, because you would, so if your waist is larger than 24, you cannot use one piece of paper. And therefore, what you're gonna have to do is make you, you're going to put a couple of pieces of paper together, which that's what I've done. I put 4 of these together. I tape them together. Here's one, and I made them in different colors so y'all can see them, right? I could have used the same color, but I didn't. I got the green, purple, this light blue, and this dark blue, which is right there. And then I tape them together. Okay, that's what I've done. Okay, so I'm gonna write where y'all can see my measurements. And I'm showing you my measurements. And if any of you have your own measurements, I will give you those numbers if you want me to, of what your numbers should be. Okay. And so I've already explained to you how to get your measurements. You need your nip to nip measurement. You need your waist measurement, which will go here. You need your waist measurement, your hip measurement, and how long you want the skirt. And you need your nip to nip measurement because that's where you're going to get your dart. Okay. Y'all got it? Waist measurement, hip measurement, how long you want it to be, which is down here. And then you're going to need your nip to nip measurement, and that's where you're going to get this dart. Okay? Now, check it out. Somewhere on your paper that you've created, you're going to start with a line at the top. You might want to give yourself an inch at the top. Okay? Because I'm not done with this yet. I haven't, you see, I haven't cut anything. I still have some things I need to do. Okay, I had started making a video. That's why I did, you see the markings. I started to make a video, but like I said, it wasn't working out. It kept telling me that, yeah, it kept, let me turn that camera off because I don't want y'all to see me naked by accident. It kept telling me that, that my space in my phone or my iPad, and I don't understand. I didn't understand. I think I have to delete some things. And I think it's the attachments, right? I don't know. I don't care at this point. Okay. Anyway, you need at least an inch at the top because we're going to end up cutting this anyway, but you're probably going to need at least an inch at the top. So go an inch down and just draw a straight line. Boom, just draw a straight line. Okay. Now, what I would say is with your measurements, you should already have your measurements. You should know, like here, I'm going to need 44 inches in the waist, right? 54 inches in the hips. And I'm taking my 19 inches down. This is what I decided to do. And then I will make adjustments after. So I add some inches in there. You don't have to add anything, but this is what I decided for my body. Right, this is my first time making one of these. And so this will be my test pattern piece. Then when I take and cut, I'm going to kind of sew it up together, I guess, lightly. And then any adjustments I need to make, I will. And then I'll go back and adjust. So that's what I decided to do. So I have 44 in the waist, and that's at the largest part of my waist, right? 54 in my hips and 19. This is what any seam allowance. These are my numbers. So you need to write your numbers down. Waist, hips, and your length that you want it to be. And then what I want you to do is I want you to draw a line for your hips. Probably do that first. But no. I'm sorry. Don't do that first. Do your waist first. Do your waist. Okay. Just draw a straight line. Straight line. And it don't have to be the 44 inches. Don't do that. Just draw a straight line across your paper. Make sure that your paper is wide enough for your hip measurements. Okay. So that's what I did. I went up at the top. I went an inch. I just put this here like that, which I know this ruler is an inch wide, right? So simply just put that at the top and draw a straight line. Zip. Okay. Let's draw a straight line. Now, after I drew the straight line, I put what this is. I put all my measurements here in case, like after I cut it, I end up forgetting. I put in pencil skirt front. This is going to be the front piece of the pencil skirt. I put my measurements. Okay. After you draw that waistline, just one line, you're then going to, oh, wait, okay, so give me a second. I did not tell you everything you needed to have your measurements for. I didn't. Where is my piece of my pen and my paper? What did I do with those things? What did I do with them? No? My little tablet. I have fabric all around me, y'all. This is my measurement. Oh, I think what the hell did I do with it? Did I walk away from this area? I did not walk away from this area, but it don't matter. Here we go. I just need a piece of paper. Just a piece of paper, okay? I just need a piece of paper. Let me move this up for me. Okay, so remember I told you your waistline, you need that measurement. I told you need your hips measurement, and you need the length, right? And also, and then you need from your hips, from your waist to your hips, you need to measure from your waist to your hips. You need to know how long is that area, which means from the largest part on your belly area, right? That largest part around there, which is somewhere between above your navel, right? Where you want this skirt to sit. You want to measure from that widest part down to the widest part of your hips, which will be around your butt area. You want to measure down, and you want to know how many inches that is. Okay, that's the one I forgot to tell you about. And so for mine, like, let's see, waist to hip is 7 inches. I'm gonna tell you, for almost everybody, it's gonna be between like 7 inches and 9 inches. Okay, most people are about 8 inches in that area. Women, we're talking about women. We're not talking about men. Okay. Now, if you happen to be, and I'm gonna make this very clear. If you happen to be someone who wants to make a dress, but you went through puberty as another gender, because I'm trying to be politically correct on this. If you happen to be you was born and went through puberty as a male, okay, and you want to make yourself this skirt, are you with me? Then your waist to hip measurement will be different. Okay. So what you need to do, it don't matter how large you are in that thing, I need you to measure your waist to hip measurement. And for those of you who are in that category, it will be much longer than 8 inches. And I need y'all to understand that that there is a difference between the genders, especially in our bodies, and most in particular, that is where the major differences are. It's in the length of from your waist to your hip. Males who went through puberty is going to be longer, and women, right? Those of us who are women, it's going to be shorter. That is factually true, and that don't matter who you are. That is factually true. If y'all learn this, you'll be able to look, you'll be able to tell. Okay, so for women, if you don't take that measurement, it's going to be about 8 inches. If you're short like myself, or you might be a little taller. For me, mine is 7 inches. I am short. Okay. So my waist to my hip is 7 inches. For most people, though, it's going to be 8 inches. Okay. See, I have all my measurements here. These are the things that I have measured. My neck to shoulder, my nip to nip, my waist, my lower waist, my hips, my waist to hip, my shoulder to shoulder, my under bust measurement, my bust measurement, my armhole measurement. If I want a quarter sleeve, what is that measurement? If I want a long sleeve, what is that measurement? My forearm measurement, my wrist measurement, shoulder to bust measurement, shoulder to waist measurement, below my knees measurement, my knee level measurement, and my leg inseam area measurements. Okay. And then there's other things too, right? But these are the most, these measurements are for skirts, dresses, and tops. These are the things you would have to measure if you making skirt, dresses, and or tops. Okay. Some of these things you need for pants too, but if you're making skirt measurement and top, these are the measurements you need. You need to know how large your wrist is, because if I was making a long sleeve shirt with a cuff with a button, then I would need to know how wide to make that, right? And I need my upper arms. You ever seen my upper arms and larger women upper arms? We have larger upper arms. If I make a sleeve shirt, a shirt with a sleeve, long sleeve or quarter sleeve, I need to know how big that area got to be. You ever seen a big bitch in a small shirt and she can't even move her arms? She can't even get her arms in them? Yeah, that might be somebody like myself. And now, usually they make these items real big to fit even large women. And that's why it don't fit everybody correctly. Because if you get something that fits you, then a big bitch, if you're a small bitch, a big bitch can't get in your shit. Oops, I'm sorry. Did I say the B word? I apologize. Damn, I shouldn't have did that, y'all. Because I want, in case the children want to see the video, I'm gonna have to redo it. But it's okay, it's okay. I shouldn't have went on that rampage. Okay. Anyway, I'll redo another one with no cuss words. Okay. I get carried away. Look, I get all into it, baby. I get all into it. Okay. Anyway, that's so. The men, on the other hand, if you went through puberty, I don't care, maybe you fully changed and all that good old stuff, okay? You went through that, but you did go through puberty. Well, guess what? I'm sorry to inform you that, yes, your waist to hip length will be longer, okay? Anyway, and maybe that's why I always thought that everybody can see what I see. When I see what I see, I'm like, I see what I see. Am I tripping? Let's get back to this. So yes, for those of you who may be another gender, you switch your gender because you're transgender, you still can make the skirt, okay? But you need to take your measurements, okay? Anyway, let's get back on track. And the reason you need that measurement, so the first thing I had you do is draw this line. That is your waistline, just a straight line across the top of your paper. We're going to get into how long that line needs to be later. Just draw it and make it at least most of that paper that you have, okay? Make it most of it. You're probably not going to need the whole line, but do it anyway, okay? But not just a small line, like I need you to draw it across, okay? Now, from that line, you're not going to measure to your waistline. And you go, so from that line that you measured from your waist to your hip, you're going to measure that you take that measurement and you're going to now go down. So for my waist to hip, which I wrote it here, right? Did I write it on here? I did not write it on here, but y'all will, okay? That's probably why I didn't tell you at first. My waist to hip is 7 inches. See it there? 7 inches. Okay, so you're gonna, Siri, shut up. You're gonna go 7 inches down. The way you would do it if you have a good measuring stick. Put the 7-inch on the line. And then make sure it's on the line. And then just draw a line. Boom, like that. Okay. I didn't use this last time. Okay, let me see. That's on the line. And that's how you will get your measurements. Okay. As you can see, when I drew the lines, it's underneath that line that I drew. Do a couple of those. 7 inches. Okay. And I'm going to do another one. 7 inches. Put it on that line that you drew. So I put it in a couple of spots, right? You saw how I did that? And then I'm going to take my ruler, straight edge, go to those lines, make sure they match up like that. And then you draw a line. And I went a little under, but tad bit. It don't have to be exact, okay? But that's how you do it. Make sure it's straight, as straight as you can get it, okay? And draw a line across. Now, you see a line here. Don't worry about this line, okay? Don't worry about that line. That was where I was just adding things up and stuff like that. So 7 inches between this line and that line is my waist measurement. If yours is longer or shorter, which I doubt it's going to be shorter, but it's probably 8 inches or in between that. If you were born a woman, it's going to be between those 7 and 8 inches. Okay. Go and draw a line. That's your hip line. And that is where your butt area going to start minimum. Okay. And then you're simply going to, now you at this hip line, at the hip line is where you want to measure it, and you want it to be your measurements. But this is where we're going to do the mathematics. You're going to do math. It's simple though, okay? We're making the front piece of our skirt. Okay, let me explain it. Remember, I explained it already. Remember, your skirt is going to be split into two. It's going to be split into the front and then the back, right? Front and then the back. Now, you might find some videos that's not going to do this part that I'm about to do, because they will use all of this long table. I'm not sure if y'all can see my table. And they'll use this whole table to cut out 20 inches just in the back. I'm going to show you where you don't need to use this whole table. It's make it easier for you. You wouldn't need this whole piece of paper, longer piece of paper, right? Because we know that when we do the front, we're going to split these two, right? So right now we're working on the front. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to take the front and divide that into two, which means when I cut out this piece, I'm going to take the fabric and I'm going to fold it into two. I'm going to put this pattern piece on, I'm going to cut. And then when I open it up, it's going to be the full front, which means we could divide it by two. Now, remember, if let's say you are and I'm going to go through some of the measurements. That's not mine, right? Let's say you are a 34 in the waist. I'm sorry, the hips. We're doing the hips right now. I'm sorry. So it's going to be higher than that. Let's do a 36 in the hips. We're going to do a 36 in the hips, and we're going to do a 34 in the hips, just to give you an idea. And then I'm going to do my own, right? If you do 36 in the hip, you're going to divide that by 2. You're going to divide that by 2. So we know that that's 1, which is going to leave us 1 more, which is going to mean that's 16. That means 18. If you are a 36 in the hips, it's going to be 18 inches. And if you are 34 in the hips, that's going to be 1. So you're going to You're going to add a 1 to the 14, and that will be 7, right? Yeah. So if you are 36 in the weight in the hips, you're going to have 18 inches. And if you're 34 in the hips, you're going to do 17 inches. If y'all got any numbers, y'all can give them to me. I'll shoot them out. Now my hips, remember, my hips area is 44. No, 54. Did I do that right? Yeah, no, that's my what you call it? Yeah, 54. So for me, it's 54, right? Divided by 2 equals what? That's 1. No, that's gonna be 2, right? 2, which equals 4, which is gonna leave me 1 more, which make that 14. 14 divided into 2 is 7. So mine is gonna be 27. Y'all got that? So mine is gonna be 27. And make sure I did that right. Okay. 27, right? 27, 17, 18. But that's taking the front, the full front, right? And all of this is the full front inch. This is not half of the front. This is the full front inch. And now what we're going to do is do what? We're now going to divide that into 2 again. Y'all got that? Because this is just the front. If your waist was 36, all the round, half of that gave you your front inches. But remember, the front piece is going to be now divided again into 2. Right? So now we're going to 8 inches divided into 2, if I'm correct, is without me doing the long math, is what? 7 and 7 is 14, 8 and 8 is 16, 9 and 9 is 18. So that's 9 inches. 17 inches divided into 2, without doing the long math. What is 8 and 8 is 16. So that's going to be 8.5, if I'm correct, right? 8.5. 8 and 8 and 16, 1 more equals 17, but we're doing it into 2, so that's 0.5. Okay, and 27 divided into 2 is 27 is 1, and then the 7 divided is going to be 6 and 6, 7 and 7, 8 and 8 is 16, so that's 18.5. Am I right about that? No. That's wrong. Is it 13? 13. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know why I got the 8. I was doing this wrong. Wait a minute. I got to do this. Make sure I did this right. This times 2 is 18. That's right. Okay. This times 2. That's right. This times 2 is 27. Yeah. Okay. Now I got it right. Yeah. When I reverted back. Okay, y'all. So that's 13.5. So what does that mean? I'm going to need these numbers. This is the number. This is just for the front piece. I need 9, 8.5 if you're 9 inches if you're 36 in the full waist. You're going to need 9 inches. If you're 34 in the full waist, you're going to need 8.5 inches. If you're what I am, and this is in the hips, I'm sorry, hip, y'all. If you're 54 like myself, you're going to need 13.5 inches. And that's what I did. I took my line, I measured out 13.5. But wait a minute. You could draw that line. I want you to draw that line. Whatever your line is, you could draw it, right? 13.5. So mine is 13.5. 13.5 is about right here. That's wrong. What did I do here? I just need to draw 13.5. I'm going to start it from that line there. Oh, the hell. I should have done this all from the beginning, but anyway, just let me tell you, just draw a straight line longer than the number that you need. Okay, just draw a straight line. If you had 9 inches, draw a straight line that's 10 inches. If you got one that's 9.5 inches, do 9.5 inches. Give yourself another inch. We're just drawing the lines right now. Okay, just draw the lines. That's it. Okay, draw the line a little longer than where you have it. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you why in a minute. Okay, so you got your line, you got this line. Now we're gonna go to the waist, right? You already got a line there, just a straight line, and you're gonna pretty much do the same thing. Your waist, divide it. You could just take your waist and divide it into 4. Because that's essentially what I did. Y'all know that, right? I took it and I divided into 4. Okay. I just did it a long way. I divided into 2, then I took that number and then I divided into another 2. Essentially what I did was I took it and divided it into 4. So the top line, if it's 36, if your waist was this, then you would do the same thing. Whatever number your waistline is, do the same exact thing. Okay, do the same thing and add like 4 inches to it, 2 or 4 inches to it. Just make a long line that at least covers whatever your numbers are. And for my number at the waist, I'm gonna show you the mathematics. I think I said it's 44 on the waist, right? 44 divided by 4 is 11. That's when I divided it by 4. If I did it the long way like I did it here, it would be 44 divided by 2, which equals 2, right? And then I took that 2, and I divided it by 2, which equals 11. I was just showing you how to do it, to kind of explain why it's done. At first, you're taking it and you're splitting your front from your back. And that gives you 2. And then once you take that number, you're splitting that number into 2 sides of your back. Or you see what I'm saying? That's why I showed you that way. But essentially, all you need to do is take this number and divide it by 4. Y'all with me? Y'all with me? Good. Oh, Lordy. Okay. That's that. That just gave you your vertical lines, right? Your vertical lines. That's what that gave you. Your lines. Is that vertical or horizontal? I don't know. It gave you your lines, okay? Don't get me confused over here. Don't get me confused. What? Why did I say something? Yeah. Okay. Now we're gonna get to the nitty-gritty. You just have 1, 2. You have 2 lines. Now you can have 3 lines if you want to do the bottom 2. What you would do is, don't worry about this line yet. Don't worry about this line yet. Just do the lines. Okay, we're gonna get to that in a minute. Actually, we're about to get to that right now, right? So we want all your lines to meet up on the front. So make sure that your lines, we don't care if they match up over there, because this is where you're going to do your adjustments. You're going to do your adjustments on the back of this skirt. We're going to make a line, but before we make this center front line, you needed to have these lines, right? You had to have these lines. What we're going to do is you're going to take your longest line, which is going to be your hip line. I told you to give it some more inches. See where my center front line is here, but see how I went all the way out here? You want to add some inches because that's important, because we're going to start making some adjustments. to these lines, right? So you want it to go all as far out as it can, but at least as long as you need it to be for your hips. Okay. And then what you're going to do, you remember you added a couple of inches to these lines. I want you to then draw a straight line. That's going to be your center front. Okay. It don't matter how far away it is. You just want, I could have drawn my center front. It could have been way right here. It don't matter, because we're going to start, when we start measuring, we're going to measure from this line that way to make sure that you got your measurements. I ended up doing mine here, making sure that it fit everything of my body inside of this. And then I drew a center line. And so I drew a line and I did it as far long as I want the skirt to be. I think I ended up doing mine at something like, I wanted to be 19 inches, but I think I went all the way down to 23 inches. Okay. You definitely want to make it as long as you want the skirt to be. Let me see how long did I do mine. I tried to go as far as the paper would allow, but I'm short. Okay. My paper fit me because I'm short. Let me see how long did I go. I went, yeah, 20, I did 24. I went all the way 24 inches down. This skirt at 24 inches, it is the addition of my seam allowance, but we'll talk about that later. Just draw a long line. Make sure that it is minimally down to how long you want your skirt to be. Now, if for some reason your paper isn't long enough, that's okay. You don't even have to add more paper. I'll show you how to do that later if need be, but try to make sure, if you're new at this, try to make your paper long enough to fit everything that you need to encompass. Okay, cool. Anyway, I drew a center line, center front line. Okay, that it needs to be straight down front, because this is where you're going to fold your fabric. What does that mean? Because I know some of y'all are really beginners, so you're probably wondering what this means. I take a piece of fabric, right? And then I'm going to fold it. Let me show you. I'm going to take it and you fold it like so, right? This is my fold line. Imagine me cutting out. If I cut from this all the way here and here and decide to cut that out, right? I cut out a square. When I go to open that square up, bam, it's going to be long. It's going to be double. It's going to be double because that fold that's there when you open it up. You see what I mean? So that's how you make two equal sides, though. You cut it once and it'll be the same on this side as it is on this side. And it connects here. That's how it be. Okay? That's what that means. This is going to be the fold line. That means when I go to cut this out and shape this up and open it up, it's going to be your full front. You're not going to have to sew a center. You're not going to have to sew the front to the back because, I'm sorry, you're not going to have to sew the right side to the left side because this fold line is just going to be one big long piece. And that's what this did when we did it in half and we put it on the fold line. Whatever we do on the right side will be automatically done on the left side and vice versa. Okay. Now, for people who didn't want to do that like that, they could have cut out this long, big piece, the full amount of half and half, right? So for me, 44 divided into 2 would have been 22. Instead of me just doing 11 inches, I would have had to do 22 inches. I mean, I would have had to use this whole piece of paper, draw this whole line, 22, da, 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 and then, but it would still equal the same thing that I'm doing by just using half the space. That, if that makes sense. Some people will make the whole one side though. They would, and then what happens though when you do that is you have to, one side might not be exactly like the other side. It's really easier to do it this way. It kind of almost guarantees that they will be equal in size. Okay. And more importantly, I only have to use 12 inches of space, if that makes sense. Okay. Instead of using 24 inches. Anyway, we're going to essentially do that to the back too. The back is where it's going to get a little more complicated. This is the front. Now, let me tell you why we added the extra space, right? We added extra space. Because what I didn't tell you is when you made your line, whether it was, what a piece of paper. Damn, I sit things down, y'all. Then I'll be forgetting what I said. I probably balled it up. That might be why I can't find it, which I think I did. Okay. Anyway, let me grab another piece of paper. I don't know what the pieces were, but you should have already measured your own self, calculated your own pieces, right? I think one of them was like, for myself, what was it? It was 13 and a half, right? I think the other one was 9, and I think the other one was like 8.5, right? I think it was 9, 8.5, and then 13.5. This is the front pattern piece. This is the easiest piece to do, right? Because this is the front. So with the front piece, we're going to add a seam allowance. But before we do that, we're going to add this dot. We're going to be putting dots on both sides. So remember, what happens on this side automatically happens on the other side. Okay, whatever we do to this pattern piece will be done to the other side. And this is on a center fold. So we just have to put one dot, because when we cut out that dot or trace out that dot, it's going to be on the other side automatically. Okay, so, but we are putting in a dot. Now, so what we're going to do, we're going to go to the top of your waist, between your waist and your hip line. Okay. Number one, what I need you to do is, I need you to measure your nip to nip. I think I said my nip to nip was 9. But you're going to remember, this piece is folded in half. So we're going to divide that by 2, right? Which I think is like 4.5, if I'm correct. 488, yeah, it's 9, right? So for me, I went in for my center front. My center front that I drew, which is also called my fold line, right? Center front, and it's also my fold line. I'm going to go 4.5 inches in this way, from this point, 4.5 inches. Okay, let's do that. Man, I have so many rulers around. Okay, well, I keep sitting shit places. I just need 4.5 inches. 0.5 equals half, by the way, for those who don't know. Okay, it can get a little tricky if you don't understand rulers, but if you need help with that, 0.5 equals half. Okay, so half of this is 0.5. Y'all got that? So I am going to take my ruler. I can either do it this way, and I could go to the 4.5 and put it on the line here. If you want to learn how to really do it for real and make it simpler on yourself. Okay, here is my 4. I go to 0.5. I put it right on that fold line. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. And 0.5 is half of that. And then, wait a minute, something's not right, y'all. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. My daughter's wrong. See, originally I had this line. Wait a minute. Okay. This is right. I'm showing you two lines. I'm not sure if y'all can see this line and that line, right? You can see this line. You see this line. Okay. This is my actual line. Then I had to add to it. I should have showed y'all me doing this from the get. Okay. From me drawing each individual line, then it won't, because if you're looking at this line, it might be a little confusing because I added an inch. I added my seam allowance already. I added in my extra space here. And I went from here, right? So what did I do? From this line here, this was where my inches went. That put me at 13 point, what it was, 13.5? No, that was down here. This at the top, my waist, 44, right? 44 equals 11. But then I added an inch, right? Which equals 12. Then I added another inch, which equals 13. Okay, and that's why if I measure this from this to this will be 13, which it does. It puts it directly at 13. You know, which I think this might be wrong, yo, because this is my center line, and I have 13 there, which actually means this is 14. Did I add in? Okay, but I did. 11 is my measurement. I added an inch for my dart, right? Then I added an inch for my which column line, which I didn't need on this side. Okay, my seam allowance. So I'm gonna have to change this. Okay, so anyway, this is the front. And what I'm gonna do, check it out. We already did the hips, right? I think we did the hips. The hips was where I had 54. I divided it by 4, gave me 13.5. Remember, so I stopped there, but really I should have had you add in 1, right? Add in the 1. And that would have given you 13.5 plus 1 is 14.5. And then there was going to be something, a 1.5 added, which, because our front, I was going to have to borrow from the front to give it to the back, which means I was going to make this a minus. So let's talk about that first. I should have did this from beginning to end, and then I wouldn't be confused at where I left off. I showed y'all the map, but I didn't go through it before I start drawing lines. I showed y'all how I got the basic numbers. Remember, I think one of them was like a 9, one of them was a 8.5, and I think mine was 13.5. Remember that? Okay. Actually, no, it wasn't 13.5. Was it 13.5? Yeah, 13.5. That's right. Okay. Now check it out. These are just me giving examples. So I'm gonna leave those alone. We're just gonna deal with reality, what I'm drawing. Okay, that's what's confusing me, because I'm doing these numbers. I don't even know where these numbers come from anymore. I think it started out at like 36 and 38, right? If I'm correct. But listen, those was examples. We're gonna just deal with what I'm working with. For me, I'm at 13.5. That is half of my hips. That's in the front. which means I took 54 inches and I divided that into 4. And that gives me this 13.5. Okay. Now, but I didn't tell you, we're going to start from 13.5 from the hips, that we have to add in other things. We have to add in 1 inch for your seam allowance. Okay. Some people don't use a whole inch. Some people use a 1/4 of an inch, 5/8. You can use whatever you want for your seam allowance. But if you're a beginner, it's easier for you just use a whole round number. Just use 1 inch. So that means I'm adding an inch. Okay. Let's not make this 1 inch, the seam allowance. Let's make that the dart. Okay. Let's make this the actual dart line that we got to add. But we do have to add a dart. Okay. Wait a minute. What am I doing? The waist? I'm doing the hips. We're going to make this the seam allowance. We make that, let me write it down. Seam allowance. Okay. 13.5 is my 1/4 of my 54. I'm adding in the seam allowance. Okay. That's the +1. Okay. Now, the thing is, I want to take away some, this is at the waist. Remember, this is, the hips. Remember, this is the hips, because the waist going to be done differently. This is at the hips, which is the largest part of my whole garment, right? Because I'm bigger at the butt area. I'm adding the seam allowance, but there is a rule that I need to borrow from my front to give it to my back. And this is my front. Now, there is where you could take 1 inch or 1.5 inches. You could take 1 inch. First of all, let me put this down. It's going to be 14.5, right? That's the seam allowance. This is where it gets tricky. You're going to either add, you either going to subtract 1 inch or you're going to subtract 1.5 inches. In some cases, you might even do 2 inches. What makes the difference? How do you know whether to take 1 or take away 1.5? The bigger the difference between your waist and your hips are, the larger you're going to take away. I happen to be very, 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 very curvy. There is a big difference, even though my upper might be 44, but if you notice, my back is 54. My waist is 44. Just not only, but 7 inches down, I need a whole 10 more inches of fabric. That is a big ass difference. You're not going to find many women with that big of a difference. In fact, the difference is huge, right? 10 inches from my waist, 7 inches down. I need to find extra fabric somewhere in there, right? So truth be told, for me, the perfect fit was if I take 2 inches, but I'm going to just do the 1.5, test it out, see if that works. So for me, I am going to subtract 1.5 inches from the front to give it to my back. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. If you happen to be less than 10 inches, I would say less than 6 inches, let's say less than 6 inches. No. Let's put it at 8 inches to 6 inches, then take 1. Just go with 1. That means you're going to subtract an inch. Okay, subtract an inch. I am going to subtract 1.5 inches. Okay, so I'm gonna do 0. They're gonna be 0. They're gonna make it a whole number, and then we're gonna go back to 13 inches. It was at 14.5. I'm gonna take away 1.5, which is gonna leave me at 13 inches. That's what I'm removing from the front of my fabric. I am going to remove 1.5 inches. And so that brings me to this line here, right? Not that one, but this one. My hip line be 13 inches long. Okay, 13 inches long. Oh, it's getting confusing because I was adding examples. I was doing other people measurements. Okay, 13, but for myself, I am going to try the 1.5. The truth be told, I might need to take away a 2 whole inches, borrow 2 inches from the front to give it to the back. But I'm gonna try the 1.5 and we'll test it out. Okay. For you though, most of you, if you have a very small waist and you went and got you a BBL that gave you that big butt, then you probably just need to take 1 inch and do the 1 inch, take 1 inch. But, and remember, I know it seems like it's just 1 inch, but really, is it? It's not, right? It's not 1 inch. You're taking 1 inch on each side. That means you literally taking 2 inches from the front to add to the back. Remember, everything we're doing now is a half of the pattern. Whatever's done on one side will be done on the other side. You're taking 1 inch from this side. You also taking 1 inch from the other side. That means you're taking away 2 inches. Okay. So if I take 1.5 inch from the front, and remember, that's just one side of the front. I'm essentially taking 3 inches. I'm taking 3 inches from the total front and I'm giving it to my back. Now, that's why I wasn't sure if I should take 4 inches. It probably couldn't hurt, and it probably would do me well if I did it. I don't think it could hurt. If I take 2 inches, that means I'm taking 4 inches from the front and I'm giving it to the back. That's probably, and definitely wouldn't hurt. But I'm gonna try the 1.5 first. That's why I do not think just because your waist is small and your butt is bigger that you have to go to this number. This number is for those of us with a real big difference. If y'all need to see what I'm talking about, if you ever seen a video of me, I'm talking about when I'm walking in the kitchen, when I'm doing, you can look, I look like I'm big and round, but if I showed you myself, if you saw me in person, that's not what you would see. What you would see is big and round in the back. It'd be like normal in the front, okay? I'm not a thin chick, but I promise you, you see it in the back, okay? I'm gonna try the 1.5 though, okay? Most of you will probably try just try the 1. That's 2 inches off the front, giving it to the back, okay? 2 inches from the, if I go 2 inches, I'll be taking 4 inches from the front and I'll be giving it to the back. It probably wouldn't hurt me to do that. I do want to, but I want a nice fit. So I'm gonna test it out, y'all. And I'll when I cut it and sew it, y'all will see me do that. Okay. Anyway, what else? I hope that I explained that. I'm gonna come and see what y'all, if y'all talking about something, just in case. I hope I didn't mess y'all up, because I shouldn't have been doing those samples. I know why people now where they stick with their measurements, right? It's easier to stick with your measurements. Than to how is that? I have no idea. With their measurement. Hey, Miss Mimi, Tequila, what's going on, y'all? I didn't think y'all were gonna be here. I thought y'all, I was just doing this. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Ooh, Lord, it's a lot, y'all. It's a lot. Look, I started getting confused myself because I'm getting confused with all these extra numbers that I put on this paper. Okay, but I'm gonna just stick with my numbers and then. Now remember, you could do this same method if you are just a curvy woman. You don't have to be big. It doesn't mean that you're big. It just means you're curvy, and things will fit you so much better. What I'm doing right now this part at the waist, this is at the waistline, that's the part that gonna end up making my butt feel in once I go to the back. All I did so far is subtract whatever I need from the whatever I need for the back, I'm subtracting it from the front at this waist, at the hip line. Okay, now, so that means this line for me is 13 inches across. Okay, 13 inches from the center front. I'm gonna measure that to make sure that's what I did. Let me measure that and make sure that's what I did, y'all. From that line, yeah, that's what I did. So from the center front to the to my line is 13 inches. Okay, so that includes, so I did do it right. So that includes my seam allowance of 1 inch, and that also includes me subtracting, okay, at the waistline. Now, this line don't matter, y'all. Don't even think about this line here. That don't matter. Now, this line, though, on the other hand, this is my waistline. This is at the top up here. This line. Now, so I lined, once I drew my line, from here, I just drew it all the way out. Made sure I had enough to make sure I grabbed that, right? Now I'm coming to the waistline. And my waistline, remember, for my waist was 44 divided into 4, which equals 11. Now this is where, now we have the waistline, right? I'm gonna just put the waist up there. For me, it's 11. I want to add 1 inch for the seam allowance, right? And then I'm going to add something for the dart. The dart line is going to be actually 1 inch. I'm going to use plus 1 inch. That equals 11, 12, and 13, right? So I'm going to make sure that for my waist, center front, which is right here, center front, and that way is at least 13 inches. So I'm gonna put the 13 on that. And so this is 13 inches. That's 13 inches from here to this line. And that's where I messed up at. I see that I messed up. I didn't add my seam allowance yet. Okay, but the seam allowance is going to end up at that side. Okay, the seam allowance is going to end up at this side, and that is, you see this line right here. I'm not sure if y'all can see. I drew a line. The only thing I didn't do is add the seam allowance, which is okay. Okay, but I did make this at 11. So if I put this at, I'm sorry, at 12. I did do it to 12. I just have to remember to add my seam allowance, but did not add my, but I did add my seam allowance here though, right? I added my seam allowance here already. So I got to remember that. I added my seam allowance in this line. So what I'm going to do is add an additional inch, bringing that to 13. And I'm going to put a dot right here. At first, this skirt was going to be curved from here to here. But now it's just basically going to be here to here. Like that. Okay? It's a good thing I redid this, man. Because the center front, you don't add the seam allowance on this end. Which that's what I was going to do. I was going to add the seam allowance at this end. But the seam allowance got to go on the cut end. Remember, you don't cut out this side. This side don't get cut. That side get cut. This is the center front. This is where the fold goes. And if you cut the fold, then you no longer have a fold. You end up with two separate pieces. Okay. So I'm glad that I checked that. But I didn't know that I didn't add my seam allowance. I knew that. What I didn't know is that I did add my seam allowance here. Okay, so actually, this is the part that would have got confused. I didn't add my seam allowance here, so this gotta have to. I put a dot there, and I'm gonna show you when I'm gonna do that dot in a few, because I'm almost done with this. Okay, now what does that mean now? That from this point, I had to do the nip to nip. And remember, my nip was 9 inches. Half of 9 is 4.5. So I'm going to put 4.5 on this line that I have, my center fold. This is 4.5 here. That means this dot is wrong. The reason this dot is wrong is because I had my seam allowance this way instead of that way. See, if I would have put 4.5 on that line, then guess what? My dot runs right where I need to run, right? But the 4.5 need to be from the center fold. So now gonna watch me make this dot. It's easy. I'm going to put a line here like that. And I'm gonna go down here and do another line from my waistline. I'm gonna do a 4.5 from that line. Where the 4.5 is right there. And I'm gonna draw a line there too, right? See that? And I'm gonna connect those lines to make a straight line. Now see that? And remember, it don't have to be perfect. Let's just see how I make that straight line. Then that tells me that's where my dart is going to be. Okay, that's going to be the center of my dart. Remember, my dart was 1 inch. Remember, I added 1 inch to the top for the dart. Okay, which means on each side of this line, we're going to do half of an inch, which going to make this 1 inch. But before we do that, we're going to measure up 3 inches from the waistline. So we're going to go, I'm going to measure up 3 inches from this waistline. 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to put a line there. See, I did that here. It's end up being equal. That's going to be where my dart will end. It's going to end here. It's going to start here, up here, and go end there. Right? Now, my dart is 1 inch. So if you take 1 inch and divide it into that divided by 2, you end up with a half an inch on this side, and then I'll put a half an inch on that side. So I'm going to measure a half an inch. Let's take this. I don't know how I'm going to do it. You can do it however you get your half an inch. I kind of tend to like to, well, it don't really matter. I'm going to put this down, and I'm going to dot where the half is on this side. And then I'm going to go to this side. Okay. And I'm going to dot where this half an inch on this side. Okay. So this is the line, and I put a dot here, and I put a dot here. Okay. And so if I measure that out, that should be 1 inch. From that dot to that other dot should be 1 inch. Okay, which it is. You see that? That's 1 inch. From here to here is 1 inch. I'm going to take that dot and go down to this line and make a triangle. I'm going to go from here, here. And we drew this line. And then we're going to go to the other side and do the exact same thing. I'm going to go here, here, okay? And we're going to scratch all this out. I don't need none of that. So the dart, let me make that lower. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. And so this is the dart legs. That's what they call this. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to take this, fold it, and I'm going to just sew on one side, and it's going to capture, it's going to make a fold, and that's going to be your dart. It's easy to make them. It's easy to sew them too. Okay, it looks difficult. People get scared when they hear about darts because they don't know how to do them. It's the simplest thing for real. Okay. My dart was too much that way. So yeah. So now remember, what's done on this side will also be on the other side. So far I just have to curve that, which I will do that in a minute. I didn't do the bottom. Remember how long you want your skirt? I have determined where I want my bottom to be. Okay. And I took my hip measurement and took an inch away because I want my pencil skirt to be absolutely going curved into a nice pencil skirt. Some people just want it to be straight from the hip straight down, but I want mine to actually curve into the bottom. So that's why you see where my line was my hip measurement, which at the top was, let me get back to it, 13, right? 13 minus 1, and that's how long this line should be. Which should be 14, and if you look, you'll see that my line is 14. See, stop at 14 from that point, 14. Okay, so I've done that already. No. Something ain't right. Give me a second. My waist. That's my, and I'm sorry, it's supposed to be for my hip. My hip was, my ankle should be 11. Because my hip, where's the hip? Keep writing this shit down and putting it on different pieces of paper. It's 13, right? It's 13.5 with the seam allowance of 14.5. I'm gonna do it from 13.5 though. I don't need to add nothing but the seam allowance. So 13.5 minus 1 equals 14.5. Let's do that. Let's do that. And it's supposed to be from this side, by the way. Okay, I did it from to that side, which is wrong. Okay, this is my center front. So what I said, I want to do it at 14.5, 13.5 minus, it's 13.5 minus 1. 13.5 equals 12.5. And that's 12.5 center front. Okay, 12.5, 20, center front. Now, you probably didn't see when I measured things out, though you could tell where I was ending them. First, my dot was here, but that's because my seam allowance, I was doing the seam allowance wrong. I remember I was going to add the seam allowance, but since I already added the seam allowance here, we're going to add the seam allowance, and that's why it brings it there. Okay, instead of here, which is that's about an inch from here to there. Okay, so it was wrong, and now it's going to be right. So we're going to put a dot there like I have it, and we're going to take that dot. Now we're going to start connecting stuff. We're going to take that dot and bring it up to this dot up here. Right? I have a dot there. I have a dot there. And we're just going to add that. We're going to connect those like that. Right? From here to here. And then we're going to take from this dot that I just drew, and we're going to go to this dot, which is not a big difference. Shouldn't, something's not right about this. That's the seam, because the seam allowance is already added. That's right. So this is right. Okay. Okay. Now, well, I'm not done yet, but what I want to show you is there's another type of ruler. This is called a French curve. It's called a French curve because it fits the curves of a body, especially a woman's body, naturally curved. And some people don't know how to use this, but there is a natural curve to our body, not these straight points that end up here and there. So from here to here, it's just a small, slight curve. It's not even a lot, but it does make a difference though. So from that line to that line, I'm actually going to curve that out a little bit. And even though you can't tell, it is a curve. It's a curve, like the natural curve of our hips. Okay. The slighter the curve, the part of this ruler you use. It's slight curve here. It gets a little deeper here. It's even deeper here. And then when you start really curving, right up in here, you know, and then, oh my God, this is a bit deep curve, right? And then, so you find on the ruler where these points will fit together best. And then that's how you determine. Like I wouldn't take this and curve that into that. See how far out that would go? You wouldn't do that. So you would just find the ruler points where you could get those 2 points to meet. And then that's when you, if you can't get those points to meet from this part of the ruler, then you can't use this part of the ruler. No matter how much I put that on that dot, it won't fit this dot without it. And I could make it fit that dot, but then I got to go all the way out there. It's not a natural curve, right? So you find a part of the ruler where that will meet, and that slight curve is what you need. Now, from the waist though, remember this is the front. It's the front. That's why it's not a big difference in here. The big difference is gonna be this little slight curve from my waist to this part. Slight curve just in the front, real slight. And then from here down, I did want it to go in a little bit, and it will. This is the seam allowance. Okay. Bam. This is not done yet. I got one more step I think I need to do, and this is for the curviness of a woman, especially. We're going to work on this part up here, the waist. On skirts, your waist is never just straight in the front, especially. Especially if you got a tummy. Now remember when I was talking about the basic non-curvy pattern, you can leave that straight if you want to, right? You can leave that straight because you ain't really got much curves you're working with. If you could fit something like that, you basically straight up and down. But remember, we got little bellies, right? We got a little curve in the belly area. You ever put on a skirt and right in the front, you got these lines where it's not straight and even. It's like folds in that area. That's because you got a waistline that's straight. It's not fitted for your body. Okay? It's not fitted for your body. So what we're going to do, we're going to make this fit my body. Okay? Now, I'm short and I'm curvy, and I do have what I call a kangaroo pouch. My kangaroo pouch is probably right in this area. Right in this area here, right? And it's just a little curviness going on in there. And I want my skirt to look and be fitted so nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down an inch. I could go maybe 1.5 inches, but I'm gonna do 1 inch. I'm gonna test it out. And if it don't work for me, what I'll do is I'll adjust on the next one, right? I'm going to the straight side of this ruler. From the waistline up here, I'm gonna go down 1 inch. At my center fold, at the fold line, I'm gonna go down 1 inch. That's 1 inch. From here to here is 1 inch. And then I'm gonna curve this. And so you still need a ruler like this. Okay. And I want this. I want this to meet that. See that curve of that natural curve? I'm going to do that. I'm going to curve that like that. I'm gonna curve that. That's gonna sit. See how instead of being straight, this is gonna give it more curviness in the top. Believe it or not, it's gonna curve it out. Okay. So I got that curve. I gotta make sure I got my seam allowances, y'all. So this should be my seam allowance. That's there with the seam allowance. This is straight front, and bam, I'm done. This is the center. This is the front piece of this pattern. And I'm gonna cut it. Y'all ready? I'm ready. Okay. I am surely ready. Okay, we're gonna start from here. No, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're gonna start from here. I'm gonna cut this. Off. Straight down. Yeah. With the front. Thinking about leaving it long like it is. Okay. Because I can go in and I can change that. I want to take this and cut that off. And that is the pattern piece. Okay. I'm going to show you how. I'm not going to cut this yet, but I'm going to show you how you would cut it. Okay. This is the front piece. You would cut one on fold. So it says cut on fold there. You would take some fabric like this, which I showed y'all already. Right? You would take it, fold it. Uh-oh. Oh, God damn it. Catching around all kinds of heads over there, okay? You would put your fabric on fold. Make sure it's wide enough, of course. Right? You take your pattern piece. You would put your piece right on the fold. As such, of course, you want the bottom to be straight, you want the top to be straight. Put that directly on the fold like that. And then you would cut that out. You would cut around it. And then when you open it, you would have the right side and the left side cut out. And that's how you would do that. Okay. At the same time, when you're cutting it out, you would put transfer markings that's on here onto here. So I would end up just transferring the dots, right, out by adding a little cut or the markings directly. And what else would I add? That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's it on for this piece. This is my front piece. Okay. Now it's time to work on the second piece. I think I'm gonna do that tomorrow, maybe tonight. I don't know. The back piece, we're gonna take. I need to make another piece of paper a little larger than inside, right? Because that's where the back piece is gonna be larger than the front piece. Because of course that's when we're gonna start adding them curves for your butt and things like that, right? So I'm gonna end up putting some pieces down just like this. I need to be wider, okay? And we no longer gonna have a center front on the fold. We're gonna end up making a side, and that's where we're gonna start drawing those. We're gonna have 2 darts in the back, 2 front darts in the front. This equals 2 darts. Remember, what's done on one side is also done on the other side. Even though we're gonna be making one piece, it's gonna be where the fabric is also folded, but we're not gonna cut. We're not gonna cut on the fold. We will have the fabric folded, but it's not gonna be cut on the fold. We're gonna end up cutting, and the back piece is gonna be 2 pieces. Why? Because I'm gonna put a zipper. Legally cry. Must be have something to do with his hand. We're gonna put a zipper. I'm gonna end up putting a zipper in the back. It's the hardest thing to do, and it's still not hard. Okay. Now, if I put a zipper in the seam on the side, that is simple. Okay, it wouldn't have to do too much or nothing. You put it inside, bam, bam. But yeah. So this is gonna be the princess skirt. Now, to be honest, when I'm looking at it, you don't even see the shape of it, right? It looks like it's straight here, but y'all know it's not, because y'all saw me take, what is this right here? Y'all saw me, did I cut that right? I did, right? Yeah, you saw me make curves. You saw me, even though you can't really see them with the naked eye, when this is cut, you're gonna be able to see those curves, okay? And because remember, there's some things I've done. Like if it was the basic skirt, you would be able to see a clear sharpness, right? But if I had done that, then it wouldn't fit me in the back. Remember, it'd be higher in the back than the front. So this looked like it's no curvature to it. But remember, the reason that is because my butt will hike this up like this. Let me show you. Let me kind of give you a hint what I mean. This is the center front. Remember, so this is the front, making this the side of both sides. So just imagine right now, it looks like it's no curvature. But what happens is, in about under the hip area, this is my waist, right? This is my waistline. Around this area, what's going to happen is this skirt is going to do something like this. It's going to shift. It's going to do something like that, right? And if you look at the bottom now, the bottom is straight now, right? Now the bottom is actually going an opposite way, which looks weird. If you're looking at it, people will be like, wait a minute, Bob, that don't look like that's going to be the shape of no skirt. And why is that going that way, Bob? Nah, Bob, this is not going to look right, girl. Look, because remember, the bottom, your hem of your skirt, it does look like this is kind of doing a diagonal that way, because it is. But remember, the shape of my body has my butt. This is going to be the butt area. This is going to be back up in there, which means this natural flow of this pattern going to fold here. It's going to end up going like this. Okay. Going to end up doing some shit like that. And then that means that this at the bottom ends up coming out straight. Okay. And then this is the center. This, even though you can't tell by looking at it, this actually gonna go in. So it looks like it's straight right now because it looks that way. It looks that way. It looks like this is straight, right? But it actually isn't. once I put pieces together. Okay. It's crazy how the body is, right? Little curves here. You got to take that pattern, the fabric. This is a woven skirt, by the way. That means non-stretch. Now, if I used a stretch material, I wouldn't have to do none of this shit. If I would use stretch fabric, I can literally draw cut a rectangle with a side seams, and sew that together. You could pull that up. You don't even need a zipper on no stretch skirt. But if I wanted to put a zipper on a stretch skirt, I could. I don't know why anybody would. You don't have to. I guess if you just wanted a certain look. But remember, stretch fabric stretches enough for you to pull it up. Okay, but this is a woman's skirt. Those African skirts is a prime example of what I'm making. And that's what this is going to be. Okay. Let me write so that look like I cut off the part that I needed. So I can remember that this is front piece, right? To a this is the front panel piece, and it's cut 1 on fold, which you got to have there. And I'm gonna make this piece number A. Okay. And I'm gonna cut, I'm also gonna make a lining piece also. Okay, so I do want a cut, and I'm gonna do lining. Exterior. When I do the lining, I'm gonna cut it shorter, and I'll show y'all how to make. It's gonna be a beautiful skirt. I might use some ugly fabrics probably to make it the first one, because I gotta get rid of some of this shit, yo. I got too much. Look, I have so much fabrics, y'all. I gotta get rid of some of this shit that I don't know why I bought some of this shit. Some of this shit is ridiculous. Okay, see, I'm not sure if y'all can see that fabric straight ahead. That is fabric with fishes on it. And I literally bought that for my husband. I was gonna make him something with it, which I still can. But if I don't make it something for him or fishing, people love to fish, then that's a waste of fabric that I bought. Okay, so, and that's what I hate when I would go buy stuff. When I look at it, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make hubby something with this. Oh, I'm gonna make hubby something. That there's also another fabric that I have that if you might be able to see it, it's white with blue and brown, right? That's also fishing fabric. It's men in a goddamn boat fishing. And I don't know what possessed me to buy that shit. Like I'm thinking, damn, when the hubby loved fishing and everything I saw fishing, I said, oh, I could do something for hubby with it. But goddamn, I'll be making things for him all the time. Look, you see the Cowboys fabric, there's more Cowboys fabric, there's Army fabric, and then I have kids fabric, like when my grandson was little, and then for my grandson's sister. That's where you see like the little heads right there. I was gonna make her some things, but then now I don't make her anything because I haven't seen her in like 2 years, right? That little that gray fabric right there is for little girls. I bought that to make her something, right? And then that fabric black right there with the it looks like a butterfly, but it's not. That's something I bought to make for my grandson. And then I wasn't thinking I bought a lot of it, but really all I was gonna make him was a pillow. but I bought like 2-3 yards of the shit, man. Ridiculous, right? And then oh man, look over here. Butterflies. Okay, so I made some bags with that. The butterflies, I can make a bag with it. Then I have bags, stuff to make bags with, which is cool, right? See the things, the silky fabrics. I do have some silks and some very nice fabrics, but it's not that many of them. Most of this shit is not that nice like that. Okay, so I want to get through some of these fabrics so I could buy new fabrics. I keep saying I'm not buying new fabrics until I use some of this other stuff. I have fabrics everywhere. Okay. Fabrics over there. This whole thing is filled with fabrics. Then I have carts of fabrics. Those things up there, those blue things up there, all that shit, even that big box right there, and that one filled with fabrics. Look, those blue things, fabrics. This thing is lined up with nothing but fabrics. Okay. Those blue things up there are my expensive fabrics, like knit fabrics. They stretch. They make t-shirts. And I guess I can make skirts out of them. Some of these fabrics are expensive. Or I bought a lot of them. Let's see. Let's have it juice. Okay, these are my pillow fabrics, which y'all know I make pillows, right? And sell them. So I have different colors, blue, browns, grays, blacks. Okay. Then coming up, I'm gonna start making those again. Then I have the fabrics, like I don't know, it's just like I wasn't being smart when I was choosing fabrics in a lot of cases. I don't want my what's coming up. So that's my silks and stuff like that. I have a few pretty fabrics, but what happens is when I decide on a project, like this project here, this is one of my first projects that I said I was going to make a lot of and sell, which I did, right? But then I stopped making these, right? I stopped making them to learn how to make something else. And this is what they call a reading pillow. Why is it called the reading pillow? It has a pocket here for the kids. They could put toys in it. They could put a book in it. They could carry it by the handle. Right? I put a little saying on it where it says, "Read me a story, then tuck me in tight. Tell me you love me, and kiss me goodnight." These are great pillows. Remember, I was the grandmother. I was new grandmother. And so I was like, oh, yeah, I'm a grandmother. Lots of grandmothers would love to make these for their grandchildren, which they did, by the way. Okay, I have some nice ones, but I still have three of these that I haven't sold. I haven't advertised them neither yet. They will sell when I guess they will sell when I put them up, though. Okay. But once I moved on to making something else, then I kind of left those, right? Holidays coming up, though. I shouldn't be making this skirt, but I think what I'm about to make, which goes with what they call it, a Pellman belt, y'all. I'm telling you, when I make this skirt, I don't even have to make the skirt. I can make the belt alone with something to match it, like a little wallet, and it will sell. But I want to make this skirt for myself because I need one. And I want to see if I can draft this out or not. So listen, I may draft this shit out and it may come out completely wrong. I don't think it will, but it could. Okay. I learn pretty fast. Okay. I be kind of learn pretty fast. It don't take me long. As long as somebody explain it. If they don't explain it, then I can't understand it. And we have a lot of these people teaching, but they're not really teaching it for real. They showing you where to draw the line. They're not telling you why you drew the line there. They're not telling you. They're like, oh, 19 inches. Go 19 inches down. Oh, draw this line. And you're like, well, why did you draw that line at 19 inches or 9 inches? Why did you do that? They're not telling you why. And so I thought I would. I'm going to end up doing this again without using cuss words, of course. And I'm going to make sure I'm going to draft it while I'm talking about it. And that way it should be a little easier for people to understand. Now, what I'm going to do is end this, and we're going to go back on the other channel. I don't have to cook. I made the burrito pie last night because, yeah, I don't have to cook tonight. Okay, I cooked last night. I cooked it. It was done so late, like it was done at like 9:30 that hubby had already eaten. So it's some leftovers from last night. I made the burrito pie. But my son though looked like he'd been over there digging in it since I've been over here. He'd come down like 2 times. So it may not be any leftovers. Like 1 hour ago it was leftovers. It may not have any leftovers now. Okay. Which gonna throw a wrench in my plan. Anybody, if y'all need me to explain something, let me know. If you would like something, right? If you want me to make something, I promise you it won't cost you much. But you have to buy the fabric though. Okay. Buy the fabric, the colors you want. It doesn't matter if it's curtains, pillows. If you think that my prices is high because you think it could be lower, then what I'm telling you is you buy the fabrics, send it to me. I'll tell you what type of fabrics you need, or how much you need of it. Have it shipped to me. That way you don't have to ship it. Let me close this, y'all. People don't understand that my pricing is really, most of it is simply the cost of the materials. But some of y'all live in areas where you could get a better price. In fact, if you live in New York or California around the fabric areas and shit, we could make a deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll sell your shit for free if you can get me some fabrics, right? You get me some fabrics, and I'll make your shit at no cost. You tell me how much the fabrics are and pick, and of course, let me pick the ones, we can make a deal. I'll make you a whole goddamn outfit. I'm talking about a whole wardrobe. That's the deal I'm willing to make. Y'all, some of y'all live in areas I wish I was. Wish I was in California, near the industry where they got fabrics and shit. And I wish I was in New York, where y'all got them goddamn fabrics at reasonable prices, especially them African fabrics. Oh my God. Now I don't like them. That doesn't mean that they wouldn't sell. You know what I mean? I have a neighbor. First of all, I should go talk to her. I have an African neighbor right across from me, right? Every time I see her, she's real thin too. Hell yeah, I'll make her clothes. She might have a hookup on that fabric, because there is no way. Let me tell you something. I cannot believe that these African people are spending the money that they charging us, that these people in America are charging us for the material. First of all, this shit that here in Delaware, like, let me show you what I have. I ended up okay, so this is African. You can't see it. Hold up. I'm gonna have to redo this. My iPad button died. I don't know why. It kind of went low fast, but I was kind of using it, but I don't remember. Like, it don't seem like I was using it that long for it to die so fast. Okay. Give me a second, y'all. Oh, but I know why. Because I do have the, see, this is African fabric. I made this into a bonnet, right? Double-sided bonnet. You can wear it on either side. If you decided you want to wear it black, or of course the silkness is for our hair protection, right? But I do have this type of fabric. And let me tell you, this fabric, I ended up getting it when I caught it on sale, but it don't even matter. Even when this shit is on sale, this shit is high. And this is not the real African fabric. I think the African fabric is like, they call it like it's a wax. And what happens is it's the same print on both sides for the most part. It's usually a little more, I don't know. But this stuff costs like almost $30 a yard. Okay? $30 a yard. And I don't think that's some. Well, anyway, I did meet an African lady at the fabric store, and she gave me her number, and told me that she has the fabrics. Um, and she told me, yeah, they're nowhere near $30 a yard. When I $30 a yard, even when it's on sale, when it's on 50% sale, you know that's still high as shit. Okay. It's damn near like $17 a yard. What? I could buy leather for that. Yo, $30, I could buy leather for real. I'm talking about real leather for that. Okay? So I don't like these prints anyway like that. It's just too busy for me. But I could put, like, I would put a piece on an outfit, maybe around the collar, and then a belt, and maybe at the bottom of some pants or a skirt, just for it to be like around the edge. I like something like this. I just don't like this all over, like the entire shirt being this. I wouldn't like that. It's too much for me. Too busy. I'm too short for shit to be too busy. I need some shit to not be so loud on my big ass body. You understand what I'm saying? But yeah. And so that's what I'm saying. But I kind of do like this. I like it on the collar, around the waistband. I'm actually going to make a peplum. It's going to be my first time making it. So a peplum belt, which is like, I guess that's how they pronounce it. And it's a belt that you could put around your waist, whether you're wearing skirts or dresses. And it kind of does this thing, y'all, where it kind of even hides your stomach. It's so cute. And I could make a matching bag with it. And I think holiday is going to be it's going to be a good season for me. Okay. I just haven't sewed on my machine all month, a whole goddamn month. And now I got to get back on it. Okay. Holiday season coming up. Anyway, for those of you who live in certain areas, though, hit me up, man. If you ever going near those areas, let me know. I'm telling you, I'll make you a whole wardrobe. Won't cost you, like, I won't charge you nothing, right? Nothing. I'll show you a couple of skirts, a couple of shirts, some things that we probably could come up with a deal. If you go get me some fabric. Listen, I'm not even asking you to buy the fabric from me, right? Depending on the cost of, we can negotiate. Okay, we'll work it out. If it's not that, if it's real costly, then of course I don't want you to pay for it, right? The deal would be reasonable. It would equal out and be beneficial to both of us fairly. Okay, I'm not looking to try to get a windfall and cheat nobody. I'm not that type of person. But anyway, y'all, I am going to get off of here. Okay, I'm gonna redo this video. I am gonna redo this live. I am, but it's gonna be after I do this skirt. So I'm gonna do some other pieces. I'm gonna do the back piece first, then I'm gonna sew it, and then try it on and all that good old shit. If it could work out fine, cool. I'm gonna remake this, and I'm gonna take some notes so I can stick to the points. And then, but I hope I at least explained to y'all how the body is curved and how you could tell a man from a woman by just looking. Some of y'all like to look at the obvious. The truth is, we can't look at each other and tell. If a man have long hair and decide to put makeup on and everything, you would not be able to tell. Ain't a lot of them, okay? Because we look alike. Y'all just hate when I say that shit, but it's factual though. Okay. Anyway, here we go.